private cell phone, baby. Haven't checked my email all day. Well, there's a lot of people out there trying to reach us. For now, I think I like it that way. What we need is a little downtime in the right place, in the right space. It's gonna take us at least a week to clear our minds. Yeah, we really need a little downtime, a little downtime, a little downtime.
Hey folks, it's Jason Hyatt with RoundTable Ranch. We are now live on the CTW TV network and all our social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, and all those other crazy things that we've got going on. So music for the show has been provided by a retired Fayette County deputy here in Georgia named Greg Kraft. You can find his music on iTunes, Spotify, and SoundCloud, and just about anywhere else that you like to stream music from. He has a lot of other very cool songs that we'll be bringing onto the show as we play around with graphics and all the entertaining stuff that we do for the show. So, like I said, I'm Jason Hyatt. This is RoundTable Ranch. Unfortunately, my guest for tonight had to cancel, so you once again get to look at this face that is only good for radio. So, here we go. Last time we were on, we were talking about the goals for the show, and a lot of you have really already done a lot. People associated with this show have donated quite a bit of money to the RoundTable Ranch on last week, or not RoundTable, the Warriors Ranch on last week, which was great. I saw it. It's awesome. I appreciate it. And if you guys can go and share it all again, that would be awesome. We got a lot of money to raise to make things happen out there. And we've got a lot of things that we have to do. Like all the money they're raising now is to build a new shop. Now, I can't say a shop. Buy a building, one of those pre-made buildings, so they can take everything out of the old stables where they had the current office and set up new offices to do counseling in while they get the old stables renovated into the new office building. So that is their goal, and that is what they're raising money for now. Saturday we'll be in Dublin, Georgia, doing the Shamrock 5K fun run and walk. So if you guys want to come out and meet us there, you can. I'll be floating around somewhere. I'll have a vest on. It says CVMA on it. You're looking for the guy named Jayhawk. That's who you're looking for if you want to talk about this. Or you can go to any of the booths out there and ask about the Warriors Ranch. And one of the lovely ladies out there, or men, because there are some, but one of the ladies that runs the ranch will be out there. You can find Marla or Paula and ask any questions you want, and they'll be able to answer them. Because, well, that's their baby, and they know all the answers. For some reason, I'm looking like I'm really, really close to the camera today. That helps. All right. So, since I do not have a guest, we're going to go into some resources I know for people like us. You know, veterans, law enforcement, first responders, and those of us that have had some type of trauma. So those of us that have a story we keep in our head, we think about way too often, and we don't know how to get it out. Other than what we're doing here, which is talking, there's other ways to get it out of your head and get it out in the open so you don't have to think about it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So for veterans, we all know there is the VA. Yes, I know. I do talk about the VA in a negative light quite often, but for some counseling and keeping your body, mind, and soul in one piece, there's people there that do care. Some are just there for the paycheck, but there are really a lot of people that really do care about your well-being at the VA. Like I said, the two people that founded the ranch are associated with the VA because it is something the VA wasn't providing to the veterans. And then they branched it out to include law enforcement and first responders and everybody else because it's such a great program for anybody that has, any type of trauma. So go to the VA if you're a veteran. Go there first. If you don't get along with the person, find somebody else. Find somebody else to talk to. I mean, you've got 4 million different organizations out there that deal with PTSD. Some are really good, some are not, but I can tell you which ones I have dealt with. I have dealt with Homes for Heroes when I had my foreclosure in 2014. They helped me get into a rental place, which took a lot of stress off and a lot of anxiety away. And then they offered counseling through one of their network counselors, and they were really good. There's just somebody they recommended. They were really good. I got to go talk to them about some of the issues I was having, which actually weren't related to the military at all. It was another issue I was having. And they helped me through that and got that off my mind. So you can say Homes for Heroes is really good. They don't just provide homes for heroes. They help with financial counseling. They help with like they gave me the deposit to get into the rental place I was renting at the time, the deposits for electricity and water and all the other stuff, because like I said, I just went through a foreclosure. Obviously, I didn't have any money at the time. So there's that organization. I know for sure does really good work. And the DAV, they can offer some help. I was looking for the one. There it is. So, and everybody knows about Wounded Warriors Project. I've had my issues with them in the past. Some of their policies and some of the ways they were using the money that was donated, I didn't agree with, so I never went to them. And then I had an opportunity to, when I was in Jacksonville, Florida, go by their corporate office and actually have a long talk with them and understood some of the ways that they were doing other things. So I believe they made a big turnaround since they had a bit of a faux pas in the past. So you can go to their website and they have this great, how to understand and recognize TBI, PTSD, combat stress, and all the fun different things that we deal with as veterans, at least combat veterans. Can't even say combat veterans. Most veterans have at least something that gives them anxiety, whether it's just getting out of the military causes anxiety, just not having a purpose causes anxiety. So, but most of us understand what combat stress is, and we understand what PTSD is, and we understand what a TBI is. But we don't understand some of the things that we go through with those particular. I'm not going to call them disorders. Some of those stressors, some of those injuries. I'm not going to call them disorders. We weren't born with them. They just happened. So I've talked once before to a few other people that I used to be a really, really angry person. And some of my old soldiers will understand when I say this. My old sergeant major definitely would understand exactly what I was talking about. But I was the guy you went to when you wanted somebody screamed at. And not just screamed at, like seriously berated to the point where they were in tears. I don't care how big that person was. I would put them in tears at the very least. And after years of this, and like I said, I had right here, a hole drilled in my head. There's actually a metal plate up here. And we found out that when your brain swells, it causes some major issues. And when you have scar tissue in your brain, it causes some major issues. And that was just aggravating my symptoms of PTSD, which is now called PTS and PTSD and extreme anxiety. They get around it by calling it different things than what it is. It's a mental injury. It's not physical at most times, but it's definitely a mental injury, and it's hard to get through. And you have anger or aggressive behavior, which I did. Definitely had some anger and some aggressive behavior. I can't say I ever took it too far. I never really got super physical. It was there at a few instances. Like I said, when I was in Korea, I got into a lot of fights, and that was dealing with other things, and it felt good at the time, so I did it. I also got really, really drunk, which is, alcohol, drug abuse. Never got addicted to alcohol, never had a problem with the drugs. I like to drink, and I used to think that drinking would get rid of my nightmares, put me to sleep, and it didn't. It made my nightmares worse. It made my mood bad. It gave me a headache in the morning. So it took quite a few years, and then I stopped drinking a lot. I still enjoy my bourbon, but it's like 1 or 2 glasses 1 or 2 times a month, if that. So if I've got the fire pit running and I'm relaxing, I'll kick my feet up with a good glass of bourbon and a good cigar and just look over my yard, and I'm relaxed. Or if I was out at the ranch, I would probably do it at the ranch, but then I'd have to drive, so I wouldn't be drinking bourbon. Because that is one thing I definitely will not do, is drink and drive. I have a 2-drink max, and usually that's 2 beers, not bourbon. So when PTSD isn't limited to us veterans. Law enforcement goes through it. First responders go through it. Imagine an EMT coming up on a car crash that involved children. That's going to cause some mental trauma, and you're going to have problems with it. So we can't limit PTSD to just veterans. And if anybody out there that's listening would like to be on the show, let me know. You want to talk to me, you want to share a thought, we have the comment section on any platform. You type it in, it comes up on our screen. We can answer it live. If you'd like to quote unquote call in, you send me a message. We'll try to figure out how to get you on here as quickly as possible so you can talk about your experiences with this. But as I go through this, I'm going to talk about some of mine. The next, we have depression with PTSD. We all know what it is, feeling down or sad for more days than not. Can't say that I was ever really depressed about things. I was more angry about things than I was depressed about things. So the depression part and the suicidal tendencies part, or suicidal thoughts part, I never really went through. I I did have what they call moral injury. And a moral injury is a lasting and powerful psychological wound that is caused by doing, failing to prevent, or observing acts that go against deeply held moral beliefs and expectations. And that's something that the ladies at the ranch deal with a lot, is the moral injury portion of PTSD or combat stress, or for what law enforcement or first responders go through. Moral injury is probably the worst part of all of it, because no matter what you do, you seem to be blaming yourself because you couldn't stop it, or you had to do it, and you think it was 100% wrong to the way you were raised, the way you think, the way you act, and it hurts you, and it's hard to get through. So the moral injury part is bad. It gets through there. And it's really rough. So that's one thing that it's the hardest part of dealing with basically anything that we've done, is how do you make it through what you were dealing with inside your head. And it's a bit rough. So make sure, if you're feeling these things and you don't know how to get it out of your head, you find somebody that can help you do it. And that's kind of why we made this show, so you can come to us, talk about it, make your experiences known. And I know it's a bit scary putting your face out there and your voice out there and talking about your experiences. I do it so that I can help you do it. My story isn't uncommon. It happens. It's rough. I went from being a raging asshole, pardon my French, to being still an asshole, but it's not as bad. A little more control over my emotions. And yes, they drilled a hole in my head. But there's other parts of it that have helped out. Like I said, talking to my wife is the biggest part. I'll sit there on the computer and bring up Google Maps, and I'll walk her through everywhere I've been in Iraq and things that have happened there, things I saw, things that we did. And for a lot of people, that's just a scary thought. They don't want people to think less of them. And if they love you, they won't think less of you. They'll help you work through it. And that's what they're going to do. And I can't say they don't love you. They don't, or help you through it. It's just they don't understand how to help you through it if they don't help you through it, which is another reason why we have this show. Your spouses can come on and talk to us. How do I help my spouse or my friend or my relative on how to deal with these issues that they're having due to this experience? We don't have to put your face up here. We can put the man in black, or just make it all blurry so nobody can see you. We'll figure a way out so you don't have to put your face out there if you don't want to. It is more personable when you do put your face out there, but also understand a lot of you guys in law enforcement, and a lot of you guys still active duty, and a lot of you guys that are first responders don't want your bosses or your fellow or your comrades in arms or your shift to know what you're going through, because they'll doubt your ability to do your job, which we went through. 2003, we came back from Iraq, and we were essentially told to keep our mouths shut. Our families wouldn't understand what we're going through. And a lot of us took that to heart. We didn't tell them anything. Came back, they asked questions. Oh, yeah, we're fine. There won't be we're good. We didn't do anything. No big deal. And then it came back and bit us in the butt. A year of holding all that in, or 2 years of holding all that in. Some guys, it hasn't hit them yet. I don't know. Some guys didn't have any symptoms and still don't. If you have them, it doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. And that's all right. It's okay to be human. We're not superhuman. We're not machines. We work through our emotions. We work through our ability to deal with what we need to deal with. And that's how we go through life. So you need to talk about it. There's one organization that I'm trying to find because they had something really good and I wrote it down and now I can't find it. Where did you go? So give me 2 seconds and I will find it again. So I had it pulled up and then my computer did some weird things. All right. So I can't find it. It done disappeared on me. And the little piece of paper I wrote it on, obviously the dog ate it. And now, let's talk about that. As I talked about last show, we breed and train Dutch Shepherds. My wife and I do. We give away half the litter to disabled veterans, law enforcement, and first responders that need a companion or service dog. Monday, the first group turned a year old, which was great. I like seeing the work they've done in the last year. And I'm going to tell you this, my dog changed my life. I went to the VA. My psychologist at the time said, here's a bunch of medication that you're going to take to help you sleep, deal with your anxiety, deal with your stress. You're going to take these 3 pills. It's like Ambien. What was the other one? Gabapentin for my pain, because chronic pain from nerve injuries. And what was that last one? Some type of antipsychotic or whatever the heck it was. It was weird. I didn't want to take it. But fine. You think these 3 pills are going to save me from myself? I'm going to give it a shot. Things I've learned. Ambien makes me stay awake for days and super jittery. Gabapentin, after a month of being in my bloodstream, I was even angrier and I was in more pain. It's actually a known cause of gabapentin that it can actually cause psychotic breaks in some people. Yeah, that's not a good thing when you're already quite angry. So, and then the last one, the antipsychotic or antidepressant or whatever it was they put me on, made me feel like a zombie. So I had one that amped me up, one that made me feel psycho, and the other one just made me feel like a zombie. And I was taking all 3. So he had like 2 uppers and a downer. It was nuts. And I did that for a month, and I went back to the psychologist, like, so, are you feeling any better? I was like, no, I feel worse. What can we do? They're like, well, I can change your meds. And I just got upset with them. And I said, no, at the time, the VA was doing a trial run of providing service dogs for veterans. I got on the list. They told me the wait was 7 months, and I wasn't willing to wait. So I started doing research, and I found a dog. Wasn't just any dog. My wife at the time, my ex-wife now, she really wanted me to get a Great Dane because I had some other issues related to my TBI where I fell over, and I had some other issues of stability at the time. So I got a Great Dane. Liberty Rose, I got her January 2014. She was just 8 weeks old, and I had to find a trainer, had to train with the dog. And after about 6, 7, 8 months of working with Liberty and the trainer and learning how to do things and all this stuff, I finally left my house to go to Walmart. It wasn't 2 o'clock in the morning. Now, there was a lot of stressors with that too. People don't understand why you have a dog. While it's more common now than it was 7 years ago to see service dogs out and about because people are starting to understand the benefits of it, or people are faking their service dog, which we'll get into. But most of us are starting to understand the benefits of having a service dog outweigh the scrutiny of having a service dog. For me, having one absolutely changed my life. So before having a service dog, 2 o'clock in the morning was the time I went shopping. And I only went to Walmart because they were open at 2 o'clock in the morning. Now, that's not everybody, but I still don't deal with crowds. I am better when I have my dog. And, Liberty Rose got cancer and died at 4.5 years old. But I ended up getting Yona. Yona Wahawa SG, or Bear Scout in Cherokee, is now my service dog. He has been for the last 4 years. I got him at 8 weeks old, but I didn't hire a trainer to train him. I did all of that myself. I used what I learned from the last trainer and I applied it to a different dog. And then I learned it's a different breed. He requires different types of training. So a lot of trial and error. I figured this out. And while my wife now, Audra, and I were going through the process of training Yona and getting things done, and then looking at how much a trained dog would be, realizing that soldiers and veterans and law enforcement or first responders, we don't get paid very much. In the first place, how are we going to afford a $20,000 trained dog? And yes, there is organizations out there that do exactly what I do. They provide service dogs to veterans, and they train the veteran how to use the dog. They train the dog, and that is great and amazing, and I'm glad they do it. I wish that I'd gone through one of them for my first dog. I'm glad I didn't go through one of them for my second dog, because I wouldn't have the bond with my dog that I have now. And it's not everything. I'm telling you, it is. The bond with the dog is amazing, and that is why they do their work. And you can bond with a dog who's already trained. So don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking anybody. They provide them. They train them. That's great. They help you out. So service dogs are essential. And the reason why we do what we do is because, like I said, $20,000 is a lot of money for a trained service dog. It's a lot. So Yona was 2 years old. I want to say 2 years old, about a year and a half old. We were sitting there talking, and we're like, there's this female Dutch Shepherd for sale down the road. They have a whole litter of them. Let's go look, because this is what I'd like to do. Let's get a female. Let's get her trained up, make sure she's trainable so that the puppies will still be trainable. So we had to be able to assess her ability to be trained along with my male's ability to be trained, which he did astronomically well at, to determine if the puppies will have the same traits. Waya, our female, is super high drive. Yona, my male, is not. We wanted to kind of produce puppies that were both spectrums. The less driven dogs, like the less amped up dogs, to be strictly service dogs, or service dogs for lower energy people that don't go out and hike and hunt and do all the other craziness. And the more the higher drive dogs, that for people that go out running and, rocking and all this other stuff that people do, while still having that maintaining that controllability and trainability. Dutch Shepherds are probably the most trainable dogs on the planet, in my opinion. And I've had German Shepherds, I've had Great Danes, and I've had different dogs and pit bulls and a few others. And just the mindset of the dog is insane and crazy, and I love them. But we got Waya. We got her at 8 weeks old. We got all her stuff done. We worked with her. We got her trained up to the point where she could have made that transition to being a service dog if I needed to use her. But Wyatt's got one small problem. She never stops barking. There's nothing I can do to keep her from barking because she is got a protective mindset. And protective mindset's good. It's just not good for a service dog. She's quick to use her teeth. So when it comes in the house we don't know, she's going to bite them. That's just what she's going to do. So when we said she will just be our home dog and we will breed her with Yona. And this is what we're going to do with the puppies. At first it was every litter, one litter a year, and we'll give away all the dogs. We tried that last year. We gave away all the dogs but one. My sister got a dog and pitched in for the help of taking care of all the other dogs because it got really, really expensive. And most of the dogs we hand delivered to the people who are going to use them. That's where I met Ronnie up in Washington State. He needed a service dog. His last one had passed away. And we got to Wyoming and our truck broke. So Ronnie grabbed his kid, both his kids, threw them in the truck and drove from Washington State down to Wyoming to meet us and pick up his dog, Gypsy. Gypsy's probably the biggest love out of that whole litter. Like I say the biggest as in Wyatt's 55 pounds, Yona's 75 pounds, Gypsy's about 90 pounds. She is huge. And she's not fat. She's not overweight. She's just massive. Don't know what happened. But she got all the wolf genes in one dog. So, but then you got Askina, which Askina is Ghost in Cherokee. So his new handler actually calls him Ghost, not Askina, but he's down in California helping out a wonderful Navy vet. And then we have Emery, who we called Wyona, mixed between Wya and Yona. She's in Ohio helping out my buddy Chris. Chris is one of the reasons why I wanted to do the show because his story is amazing, and I'd love to have him on if he'd come on and share it at one point. But she helps him. And then you got Anaya, who's right down the road from me now, helping out a really good friend of mine. And just seeing the transition sometimes, and he had a service dog before, but seeing the usability of the dog that he got from me is amazing. So these dogs are absolutely awesome. Yes, Ronnie, the wolf gypsy. Yes. Thanks for joining us, brother. But I get a lot of joy out of what these dogs are doing for my brothers and sisters. They really are. I mean, it pulls them out of their shadow and it pulls them out of their shell and it allows them to be them again. And it's great. Like I said, my dog saved my life, and he's done it numerous times, more than just getting me out of the house to where I can actually associate with people. But with my TBI, I randomly pass out. It's weird. I could be in the yard working, and then I could be in the yard laying down on my face in a pile of dog poop because it just happens. Never happens when I'm sitting down. Doesn't happen on my bike. Doesn't happen while I'm driving. It's one of those things. It just over I go. So, but Yona, through our bond, has figured out when I'm having problems, and I've figured out I have facial twitches, and he picks up on those, or maybe it's a smell too, or maybe it's emotion, or maybe he can hear my voice. I stutter. He alerts me, and at first he didn't know how to alert me, so he would nibble at me, or he would paw at me, or I had to teach him how he was to tell me these things, which my wife came in amazingly well at, because if I'm having problems, it's really hard for me to teach the dog what to do when I'm having a problem, if I'm the one having the problem. So Audra would actually pick up on when Yona was picking it up, before I would, and she'd be like, "Oh, you're having a problem," and she would touch my arm. So Yona would know, hey, he's having a problem. I need to touch him somehow without using my paws. So if I'm driving my truck down the road and my music goes fuzzy, so music for me is an audio cue that I'm having problems. People's voices go fuzzy. Background noise does not. It's weird. But when I hear that, I know I'm having an issue. But Yona picks up on it beforehand. He'll actually take his nose and stick it behind my ear when I'm driving. Just touch me behind my ear. And I know at that point, I need to pull over. I have a problem. And if I don't listen, then he'll take his paw, his giant, massive paw, and start pawing at my shoulder because, hey, Dad, I already told you, you need to pull over. And he's done this numerous times. And usually it's when we're going through the mountains. I don't equalize pressure in my head very well, so I have bigger problems. But that's when Yona usually does things when I'm driving. If I am out in public and I'm having an issue, Yona will try to go out the door and take me with him. I'm reading these comments from Ronnie. Ronnie, you're going to make me in tears, dude. I absolutely enjoyed making sure that you got a dog, especially since I know your story. So it was my pleasure. It was my wife's pleasure. So, like I said, he's going to put me in tears. But anyway, Yona, these service dogs that you see walking around with other veterans, and you're thinking to yourself, well, I don't need one. Or you don't want another one. You don't want another dog because you recently lost one. There is no love like the love of a dog or an animal. We do the ranch, Warriors Ranch with the horses, and I do the dogs here. And I do it because they helped me, and I want to see my brothers and sisters get help too from the same things that helped me. Medication didn't help me. It helped some people, but medication made me an unbearable ass. And I don't like to be that way. I did things in the past when I was on medications and I didn't have my dog, or that made me not a nice person. And I don't want to be an asshole. So that's where we're at. And like I said, pardon my French, this is not exactly a child-friendly show. We try to keep it on a low roar. And we'll go from there. Yeah, Ronnie. Yes. I don't know how much of this I want to put on the screen, though. So, hey, Ronnie, do you mind if I share that? I'm going to ask you out loud because I don't want to put you out there too much if you don't want to be put out there. So, pardon me while I get a drink. Because that's something I can expand upon if you're willing to let me. The drugs they put us on will kill us. There we go. Thanks, Ronnie. So Ronnie says the meds were killing me also, or killing him. And it's one of those things. And he said Gypsy, which is the dog he got from us, definitely picks up on him when he's struggling, which he and I have talked about it before. It doesn't just pick up on him, but he picks up on other family members, or she picks up on other family members when they're having issues. So she's very in tune with her humans. And it's great to see. And like I said, Ronnie was, that was a fun trip. Broke 5 of our lug nuts off our truck in Wyoming before going over the Homestake Pass into Montana, and ended up having to replace all 32 because they were all messed up. So there was no way we were going to make it to Washington State. And so now that Ronnie's given me some permission here to talk about other things, Ronnie's son James is autistic, and so Gypsy not only helps Ronnie, but she's gone and attached herself to James as well. So when James is having problems, Gypsy reacts to him. We gave him Gypsy to help Ronnie, and Gypsy has other things on her mind. So she is now a dual purpose service dog for Ronnie and James. So I could probably say Gypsy probably helps out James more than she helps out Ronnie, because when dogs attach to a child, the child claims them more often than not. And like, that's just how it happens. I know mine would. It's what happens, and it's still great and amazing. So these dogs are amazing creatures. If you're thinking about getting one, if you want one, you don't understand the process of getting one, that is something I encourage you to email us here at RoundTable Ranch, which is gunsvetssurvival@gmail.com. If you want to send us an email. Well, when I type it, bounces the screen everywhere. Darn it. And I'm throwing up our Gmail on the screen so everybody can send us an email if they want to, and we can go over there. I'm going to throw that up there. And like I was saying, this warms my heart. This is something, like I said, it's given me a purpose. So therefore, I now have an entire reason to live again. Other than, I've got my wife, or I got my kids, and I've got my dogs. But after spending so many years in the military, I had lost my purpose. And through doing the Shooter's Rest Radio before, and then we had the Florida Response Unit down in Florida, started by my buddy. So going down and training with them and doing some other things, and then transitioning to, we did the VCRT, Veterans Crisis Response Team, for a while. That Facebook page is still up, and maybe it's something I can branch out again when we have the facilities at the ranch, maybe. But through all these things that I've been able to help others, I've actually been helping myself. So you can say it's selfish. I believe it's selfish. In a way, I get to live better through helping my brothers and sisters in arms, law enforcement, first responders, work their way through these other things. And I can tell I get a little emotional talking about it. Yes, vets helping vets, Ronnie, and vets helping law enforcement, first responders, because, like I said, we all have similar experiences on different sections of the world. Different mindsets, but same experiences. We all go through the same traumas of finding dead bodies, or seeing dead bodies, or trying to help somebody and losing them, or causing a dead body. We understand, and we understand each other's trauma on those things, and I'd love to get them out there. I'd love for everybody, all veterans and all law enforcement, all first responders, to stop hating each other so much. We will make fun of each other on a daily basis, but we're all family, in a way. We all have a story that starts and ends on a similar base. Military, we don't chase perpetrators. We go after the enemy. In law enforcement, they go after suspects and perpetrators. First responders, they get to clean up the mess that we caused, or people caused themselves, And it's not pretty. And I couldn't imagine having to go into a house where people are injured due to another family member and dealing with that emotional trauma. I wouldn't want to do it. I'm perfectly happy armchair armchair quarterbacking from this side of my planet. I'm not a cop. Never was a cop. I tried to be a cop, but I had a service dog, so I couldn't be a cop. I've got a brain injury. I'm not going to do that to other people. I understand why I'm not a cop. I couldn't do that job. I'm way too forceful and in your face to understand that the law says you have to do it this way, but Jason's going to do it this way. Go. I can't be a cop. So, as you see, gunsvetsurvival@gmail.com, YouTube, Gunvet Survival, RoundTable Ranch on Facebook, RoundTable Ranch on CTW TV Network. We are here. And yes, Ronnie, we are made for war. I am going to take a quick 30-second break. I've got to blow my nose, and I'm sure none of y'all want to see that. So give me about 30 seconds, and we'll be back. All right, I'm back, and I can breathe again. Stupid Bradford pears. So next week, I do have another guest lined up, and hopefully they can actually make it. We had some storms come in, and they had to deal with that instead, and I can understand. So when you're dealing with law enforcement and first responders and their storms, obviously they have other jobs to do than come on the air and talk. They got lives to save and other experiences they can share with us. So I do have somebody coming in next week that's going to share with us some of their personal experiences. Probably not going to get into their trauma, not much anyway, but they do have some words of wisdom, at least for us. So we'll go with that. I do not know everything. I know what I've been through. I know what I've done. I know what my experiences are. And I'm more than willing to share them with every single one of you. Because if one of you gets help because you can relate to the experiences I had and the way I dealt with it, then at least I have made a difference in one person's life. And that's all I ever want to do. So we've got to acknowledge each other's experiences, and we have to understand that none of us know everything in life, and none of us know everything and how to deal with everything. And that is why we do what we do. So my advice will always be find somebody you trust, and talk to them. Like, open up take down the wall that you have surrounding your heart and your mental capacity and talk to them. Because only then can you actually start healing. And yes, talking about it does dredge up things. The first time you open up, you're going to be in for a wild ride. But every time you talk about it afterwards, it gets better and better. So don't be afraid of that initial, kick in the pants that you're going to get from the first time you talk about it. Because, yeah, it's going to shock you. Because things you thought you forgot, things that aren't foremost in your mind, are going to come back up. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I remembered that finally. Yes, Ronnie, that's what I'm saying. Talking helps over time, not at first. At first, it's rough. It's hurt. It hurts you. Not just in your heart, but in your soul. And you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm talking about this. And I can't believe the emotions are coming out. Because we're going to hide our emotions is what we do. We do best. Like, we don't hide anger very well. At least I don't. You know when I'm angry. You're going to know when I'm pissed off because it's obvious. It's very obvious. I don't keep it in. As people will tell you, though, it's very scary when I get quiet. If I'm angry and quiet, it's bad. If I'm angry and loud, at least I'm dealing with it. So you'll know when I'm angry. So, but yes, find that person that may not understand, but at least can understand what you're going through and then what's in your head, and talk to them. And be prepared, because that first time you talk about it, it's going to kick you in the pants. And then the next time you talk about it, it's going to kick you in the pants just a little bit less. And then the next time, a little bit less. And as you go forward, you'll get to the point where you can talk about it. You don't feel like you've been kicked upside the head every time you say something. And after you start dealing with it out loud and with somebody else, you start dealing with it inside yourself and you get better. So I implore you, at least today, to go find somebody to talk to. And I don't even say a mental health professional. They don't have to be a mental health professional. You can send me an email and talk to me. I'll help you through it, because that's what we're here for. So this show is for veterans, law enforcement, first responders. We're on YouTube, Facebook, RoundTable Ranch, or RT Show 911. Takes you right to our Facebook page, CTW TV Media Group, CTW TV Network, YouTube, Facebook. Look us up, drop us a line, send us a message. Ronnie, thank you for contributing to the show. Everybody else that's watching, thank you so much for being here today. I believe Dan Meadows has another show coming out tonight. So go ahead and make sure you go over to the CTW TV network, follow his show tonight, and we keep going. So right now, on the network, there's, I want to say, 11 different shows that are live every week. Sometimes we will throw a recorded show up because we're under the weather, or we had other things we had to do, or like this show is incredibly emotional for me. We might have to take a break once in a while just so I can deal with it all. But anyway, so thank you all for tuning in. I also ask you to go look up Greg Croft on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud. All three platforms have some of the same songs, but you'll find more songs on iTunes and SoundCloud than you will on Spotify by him. Used to be a sheriff's deputy here in Georgia, and he has graciously donated the rights and or privileges to use his music on this show so that we can have a better show. So thank you, and y'all have a really good night.
sunrise breaks across the ocean. The coffee's brewing and the day is new. I like to sit right here and watch the morning until the sky turns into a field of blue. What I need is a little downtime in the right place, in the right space. It's gonna take